Hey Sachin, hi, good evening. Shishir this side. Am
Hi.
I audible?
Yeah, you are. Can you hear me?
Okay, fantastic. I can. Uh,
Okay.
I think
Perfect.
I've made you the host. You can just cross-check if all the rights have been transferred to you.
Yeah, I can share the screen.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, I think it's good.
right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So we'll give them another 5 minutes to start today's session.
sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, Sachin, I think we are on time. Let me know if you're ready and we can start the session for
I'm
today.
ready. I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So we have quite a bit of attendees already
Okay.
present, which we can see. Let me give them a quick introduction to you. So, hey, hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the seminar. We have Sachin here today. It's his third webinar for us at CMEDU. It's been fantastic to have Sachin so far, and we hope we have the same session today as well. So we are, as you guys are aware, we are going to have a webinar on black and white, that is in digital imaging using Photoshop. So it's going to be conducted by Sachin. So over to you, Sachin. Before just passing on to all the attendees out there. So what we have decided this time is in regards to the question and answers. What we would want you to do is please note down any questions you might have of the topic in regards to Photoshop, and probably you can put those questions at the end of the session. That is one. And if you do have any questions that is very relevant to the particular tool or the topic that Sachin will be taking you through, you can probably interrupt and ask, right? Over to you, Sachin. You can probably brief them again and you can start.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Shishir. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Uh, uh, so basically, what I want is particularly about the questions, if there are any. So whatever I'm talking about, so if you have a question, if you're not understanding a particular terminology which I'm taking you through, so stop me there and ask instead of waiting it so that I don't have to uh, start it over a particular thing. But if you have a general question which is related to black and white imaging in Photoshop, that you definitely can note it down and maybe ask me at the end of the session. Okay, so let's start with the topic today, that is black and white imaging in digital photography. So as you all know that when there were films, there were different films for color and black and white results. But when you now in digital photography era, we have just a camera which shoots color. Okay, and you have various softwares to convert those digital files into a black and white uh, result. So there are a lot of things actually because of this particular thing. There are a lot of possibilities when it comes to conversion or converting an image into black and white. Now I have to talk about in camera settings before we uh, go to any other, before we start using software basically. So I'm sure most of you might have seen these uh, profiles in your camera where you can actually set it to black and white and take black and white images. I'm sure most of you might be doing it. I'm sure some of you enjoy doing it also. But what I over the time have realized and noticed that when you do shoot directly into black and white in the camera, there is one particular thing that happens is because black and white image, it's so soothing and pleasing to our eye. A lot of time we tend to make some mistakes or ignore certain mistakes which we are doing. Okay, this happens a lot. And when we transfer those files, and as you all know, when we shoot raw pictures, so those raw files, when we transfer and open it again, they are into color images, and then we a lot of time realize, oh, there are particular mistakes that has happened, but we did not notice because we were shooting black and white. So to avoid that, I would always suggest that it's much better if you shoot images into color, okay, and not with black and white profile on. So that's the first thing which you need to understand, and mostly bring that in your practice. Now, now let's move to our Photoshop and see about black and white, there are particular things which I would explain, and then we will actually start talking about images, or I will convert images into black and white in various ways. Right. So black and white imaging is something which is very interesting way of uh, showing your images or presenting your images. Okay. At the same time, most of you, I'm sure, most of you will say that, oh, I just love black and white photography, or I just love black and white images. I am also one of those, and over the time, I have realized one more thing, that when you see black and white images, it's more like you're looking at the soul of that image, and not technicalities or anything like that. So it portrays very different essence of the image when it is black and white, and that's one of the reasons it makes it a very interesting topic. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and open Photoshop. Okay, today we will be using only Photoshop and nothing else. I will also tell you about another software, which you maybe, if you want, you can try using that one for black and white conversion. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so I'm in Photoshop now, and I just have this empty canvas here. What I want to show you is, whenever you take any picture in your camera, it's a RGB picture. So for example, I'll just go and open one of the pictures. Let's say I have this picture here. Okay, I'm just gonna open this image. And if you see, you will see this RGB written here, or if you go to channels, you will see red, green, and blue, these three different channels. Okay, so each and every image which you take, it is made from uh, these three colors, RGB. I'm sure all of you must be aware of it. So now first is we will see how these three different colors react to black and white conversion individually. So I'm going ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw three circles to explain you further. So I'll just make one circle, which is red, and what I will do is make one more, of green, and I'll make one more of blue. Okay, so I have these three colors here. Okay, and one is R, that is red, and I have this green, and I have this blue as well. So yeah, all right. Now what I'm going to do is, since I have these three different colors, and these three different colors, they in different quantity they get mixed, and they form your each and every image basically. Now I'm going to just go into this inbuilt black and white which is available. in Photoshop. Okay, and this is one of the best way of converting your uh, images uh, into black and white, basically. The only thing is you need to know what exactly you're doing. If you know little bit, if you have little bit of idea, I'm not saying very in depth, you can still create really good black and white images, and that's what exactly I'm going to tell you today. Okay, I'm sure black and white images by itself, they look really amazing, but there are very small things, if you do to those images, they will stand out a lot better. Okay, so by default, the result which we get is this. Okay, so as you can see, the green color and the red color, they are exact same uh, gray value for the default settings, and blue, it becomes slightly darker. Okay, so now I'm just going to change these different filters which we have here, and let's see first what exactly is happening. Okay, so I'll just go to blue. Okay, now when the moment I apply blue filter here, what's happening is blue has become white. This blue was here, okay, as you can see, uh, and that blue has become white, and green and red has become completely black. Okay, now I'm going to change it to darker, and let's see what's happening. Now darker made all these three uh, darker shades of gray, but still, when we see this, our red and green, these two are of similar gray values. Okay, now I'm going for green filter. Now this is something interesting which we are getting to see here. Okay, when I apply green filter, what's happening? Green becomes extremely light gray, red becomes medium gray, and blue becomes uh, very dark gray or almost black, basically. Okay, and let's go to other filters also. Okay, again, I'm going to, earlier we saw blue filter, now we'll see high contrast blue filter. And again, so when there is high contrast blue filter, again this blue is completely gone, and there we have this uh, completely black of red and green. Right, now again we have another one which is high contrast red filter. Now when I'm applying that, what exactly is happening is, it's again the red one is becoming white. Okay, and rest two is becoming black. Okay, now what's happening in blue and red? We are getting a very interesting contrast. Anyways, we will talk a little more in detail. Let's just quickly see what exactly it's doing to the picture. Now in infrared, again we are getting similar contrast, but red and blue became uh, complete black, and green became white. Okay, that's also very interesting. Yeah. Now in lighter was is very similar to the darker profile. It's just that in darker we got darker grays, and lighter we got lighter grays. Another thing to notice is, again, red and green has similar gray values. Okay, maximum black made everything very darker. All these three colors, actual three colors, became completely black. Okay, maximum white, exactly opposite to that. Right, neutral density. Okay, neutral density, again very similar to maximum white. Okay, red filter very similar to high contrast red, and now yellow filter. Now, yellow filter is again very interesting thing which we have got here. One is red, which became white. Okay, green became uh, medium gray, I would say, and blue became completely black. Now, I'm sure you must have used these different filters and just open an image and just scroll through these and see which one is looking good, or maybe there are some people they would there are some people, or photography videos, they will say that okay, red filter is good for portraits, or things like that. I'm not saying bits wrong or anything like that. What I'm trying to tell you is you need to understand particular filter, why you're applying it. And if you do that, you will be able to, create much better result out of it. All right. Now let's go to this, that, you know, we will again see some particular filters here, and I would like to start from green filter. Okay, now green filter is what exactly it's doing. I think there is some problem with,
Sachin,
yeah,
there's a slight bit of a request as to if you can repeat this particular step a little quickly.
which step?
The last step, I will just read out the question. By making the three circles, we get three different layers. After that, the screen is showing fourth layer, which is about the fourth layer, that is, the masking and intersecting, right?
Mhm.
Did you merge the layers? Like, I think it's after
Oh,
creating
but listen, all of you guys, these layers has nothing to do with black and white conversion. I'm just explaining you how these three different colors, it really does not matter whether there are, different layers or no, or, I've just created so that I could show you these RGB values and how this black and white is affecting to that. So it's basically, we are getting there, we are getting into black and white conversion, but this is little bit of theory which I'm explaining you so that you will understand much better, because I will show you maybe 3 4 different sample of images, uh, and convert them and create something good out of it. But tomorrow you will be you will be eventually converting a lot different images into black and white. So once you know this theory, what exactly it is happening here, it will be much better for you to convert those images into black and white. Okay, so just ignore this part here, which is how many layers are there and all of that for time being. Just pay attention on these RGB colors here and what exactly happening in terms of gray. Okay, that's the only thing I want you to pay attention to and nothing else. Okay, I
Okay,
think I think it will be, it's clear now. So
thank you.
there's something wrong with this blue. So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly delete this and okay. All right. So yeah. So I was talking about this filters here. Now green filter was something interesting, as we saw when we were going through this. Now what exactly it is doing? Okay, when I'm putting it to green filter, what's happening is it's this entire RGB values have three different values of gray. Now when you're converting anything into black and white, it's just understand that any color picture has several different shades of RGB. Okay, and a good black and white image will be an image which will have a very nice, good contrast between black and white. But at the same time, if you can show more and more different shades of gray, okay, and also something which is completely black in your image or something which is completely white in your image, it also means that there are no details in that particular part of the image. Okay, for example, sometimes we are shooting somebody's portrait against the sky, and sky completely is blown out. Okay, and it becomes white. It means what? It means there are no details there. Okay, or we are shooting something in a very contrasty lighting, and then we have this, let's say we are again shooting a portrait in a very contrasty lighting, and a part of the image is, because it's dark, it becomes very black. Okay, or completely black. It means what? There are no details. So what we have to do is, when we are converting into black and white, we have to understand these two thoughts, or these two rules, I would say. One is, there has to be a very good contrast, between your black and white, and also try to show, while giving that kind of contrast, try to give maximum different shades of gray. The reason behind that is more shades of gray is, it means there are more details which you're showing in your image. Okay. All right. So going, why I particularly pointed out towards green filter, what it is doing, it's doing something very interesting, is it's actually making these three different colors standing out. Okay. Now, what I will do is I I will go to high contrast blue filter. Okay. Now, when I'm seeing high contrast blue filter, I am getting very interesting contrast. Okay. This is like going white, and this is completely dark or black. But at the same time, like I said, this is absolutely black and this is absolutely white. It means we are also losing some details from our image, because anything which is pure white and pure black, it means there are no details. Okay. Same thing is happening when I'm converting it into red filter. Okay. uh, with red filter, I mean, these two colors, green and blue, they are like completely black, and red is completely white. So it's really amazing contrast, but at the same time, what's happening is we will end up losing some details of the image. Okay. So we want something which is like our green filter. Okay. Or we want something like our yellow filter. Okay. Yellow also had this very amazing contrast, but again, these are, yellow is giving us extreme three ends. It's like, this is like the beginning, or this is like one end which is completely white, and then we have gray which is like medium gray, and then we have black which is like endpoint. Okay. So we are getting entire spectrum here. Okay. But at the same time, because this is going again complete white and complete black, we may lose certain details. Okay. So this is basically, you need to keep in mind that sometimes your image will have particular colors, and you have to understand how this black and white is reacting with those colors basically. So when you're converting a lot of blue in the image with blue filter, it means you're making that blue change into absolute uh, absolute white. Okay. So if there's an image which has a lot of blue, and if you give blue filter, that a lot of blue is going to be converted into white. Okay. And if it has a lot of blue again, and if you give red filter, that entire blue, you're making it look black. Okay. So these are some basic things which you need to keep in mind. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is, this is, for now I'm going to disable this. So apart from this, we will see what other things, or what other ways we can convert something into black and white. Okay. So another very interesting way of converting something into black and white is this gradient map black and white. Okay. So what you have to do is, you just have to go to gradient map and select black and white here, and use this. Now see this, this is the exact thing which I was telling you about. I have these three different colors with three different values. It's not, this green is not entirely black. Okay. Or I will quickly explain you what I mean by not completely black. I'll just quickly zoom in only on the green. Okay. This is the black which I'm getting when I'm using red filter into black and whites. Okay. And this is the dark gray which I get into gradient map. So it's not, taking away all the details. Okay. Now second is, I'm getting red becomes, very interesting dark gray, and my green, it becomes lighter. Okay. So this is very interesting conversion to black and white. I have a very nice range between these three colors. Also, I'm not losing any details. Okay. And this result is much better than any of these black and white which we got. But a lot of time, it may not, just using this gradient map will give you a really good result, but a lot of time it may not give really good results also. So anyways, going forward, we will see how on when we will be using it. Okay. So now next is I'm going to convert, like turn this off, and I'm going to show you one more very interesting way of black and white. I'm just quickly making a new file so that this will not get disturbed. Again, guys, this is, I'm just explaining to you about the colors, so don't pay attention on the layers or anything. That's not something which, you know, uh, I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so like I said earlier, we have this, when there is anything which is RGB uh, color profile, we have these different channels, red, and then green, and then blue. Okay, all right. So there's one more way we can use, that is we have this lab color here. Okay, so I'm going to explain this in detail a little bit later, but I'm just showing another way and showing it on how what happens on RGB colors. Okay, so when I'm going on lab colors, what's happening, it's these layers, they're changing here, or the channels which are changing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just selecting this lightness. Again, I'm showing it to you. Okay, now again, I am getting these three different gray values in RGB, which is very interesting, and I'm getting lighter gray values here. Okay, and there is a difference between these three, so it's very similar to what I'm getting here with this, but these are on darker side, and this is what I'm getting on a lighter side. So this also can be a very interesting way of converting black and white. The entire process I will definitely explain it to you. I'm just telling you how exactly it's converting. Okay, now there is one more way of doing this, is going to use saturation and just reduce the saturation. This is the most basic way of reducing saturation, but see what it is doing to your RGB values. It's giving you entire, you know, just gray, exact same gray in red and green and blue. Okay, so it's not gonna be, very helpful. Now I've been saying that, we need these different values, and this is coming as same. So what exactly is going to happen in the image if the values are same, and what's going to happen if the values are different? So basically, if it will be same, the overall image will have very less or poor contrast. Okay, if it will be something like this, image will have a very interesting contrast, and if it is something like this, image will have really amazing contrast. Okay, all right, but each of them, they have maybe certain drawbacks and certain good. So we have to decide which one we will use when, or if we also will see that if we can use two or three of them together, okay, in combination with each other in one particular image. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's start. Enough of, I think this is pretty much enough of theoretical part, and I don't believe in a lot of theory, but guys, this is something which is really required, because I am explaining you, and I don't want to explain you something which is, which you will feel that you understood, but over the time period when you will use on some another image, or try and convert some another image of yours into black and white, and end up having, not so good result. So if you pay attention to, all of this, and if you have understood all of this, I think you will be able to use your own mind and create your own black and white conversions. Okay, Shishir, before I step forward, I mean, only particularly this, regarding this, if we have any questions, I would like to take this.
None as of now, Sachin. I think.
Okay, perfect. Then I will take it ahead. So I'm keeping this on, and I'm going to open one image. Okay, and just show it to you guys what exactly is going to happen. I'm going to start with the basic uh, black and white conversion. which I really like. Okay, so I have this image. It's a very simple portrait. Okay, as you can see, very clean. Now, having said that, converting this into black and white is also either challenging if you really want to that image to stand out, but at the same time, sometimes certain images have some strong elements. For example, this one, it has very interesting eyes. Okay, the way they are captured. If you see, you can see some very interesting things happening in the eye also. So in this, maybe there can be a very basic conversion of black and white also can, make image stand out. But let's see one which I think is gonna really work well for this particular one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now this is method one of converting an image into black and white. Okay, so if somebody wants to make a note or something like that, feel free to do that. And here, if you don't understand anything about the layers, please ask me, because now layers are the steps, those are very important. All right, so I'm going here, image mode, and I'm going to lab colors. Okay, the moment I do that, there's no difference in the image, but there's a difference in the channel. Okay, what I do is I select this channel lightness. Okay, now this image is instantly converted into black and white, and it has a very nice clean, gradient of black and white, gray here, which is the exactly mood of the image. Okay, also my black values are pretty constant and same the way I want it. Okay, but this is not enough, because here we still have a color image. It's just because I've selected this, it is showing black and white of it, but this is not the end result. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image mode, and I'm going to go to grayscale. Okay, it will ask if I want to discard other channels. I'll say yes. Okay, what's going to happen when I take this into grayscale, my image becomes only grayscale, and it's going to use only that one channel which I have selected. Okay, and then I will go and convert it into RGB. All right, so I have RGB image now. Okay, with all these three channels and everything, and the black and white conversion from lab colors. Okay, so this is one of the methods. And also, for I won't say it for all the images, but so for certain images it gives uh, a feel to very much similar to black and white films. Not for all the images, it really depends on the image also, right? uh, so yeah, let's just quickly see it, how this looks. It's very clean and nice, image with conversion into black and white. Okay, so this is method one. You can see it. Okay, the same image I'm going to open again and convert into black and white in some different ways. Okay, so I'll just you open this. Sorry, I think I'll have to close this first. Okay. Now I'll quickly go to this black and white. Okay. And so now if you see, I have this decent looking image, but the contrast which I got there, I don't have that kind of contrast here. Okay. Now I'll go to this blue filter. Now blue filter was making a red. I'll just quickly show it to you here. Blue filter was doing what? Blue filter was doing converting this red and green into black. Okay, that's what it is doing to my image. Okay, it is converting my image, or it is converting reds in the image into black or darkest red. So I have a lot of red here. So any skin has, if you see the RGB values of the skin, it has maximum red. Okay, if you want, I will quickly show you. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick some color. Okay, so you can see this. So just go here. okay, and quickly pick. So if you see RGB values, red has the maximum value here. It's 189, okay? It's 226. It's always more than other two values, okay? That's how any skin will look like, okay? Now, so since it has a lot of red, it's getting, darker when I'm putting it into high contrast blue filter. And when I will give it high contrast red, what's happening is, let's quickly see what it makes it here, okay? So in high contrast red, blue becomes black and red becomes white, okay? So again, my image, it's very, very bright here now. And as you can see, but again, it's too much of contrast between the background. It's not looking very realistic, okay? I'm not really liking this whiteness machine. I want it to be lighter or lighter shade of gray, but not exactly this, okay? So I find the way I converted this image earlier, it was much better. Now another thing which I will do is, um, I'll quickly go to gradient map, okay, and convert it into black and white and see what exactly is happening. Now this as we saw it here. So gradient map is making it uh, giving three different values, but on a darker side. So again, you can see that in the image that it's giving three different or darker gray values, and this is also looking pretty interesting, but it is not looking exactly close to this feel or this image of the color one, okay? So either, I mean, this is nice, but I again still prefer the one which I did it before. Okay, those who missed it or something, I'm going to convert it again, so this you will understand the steps. The steps are very simple. You just have to go to lap color, okay? You have to go to channel, select the lightness. See, this conversion we never got in any of these other two ways of converting into black and white, okay? And again, I'm going for grayscale so that rest of the layers are deleted, and I am going to RGB, so my image becomes RGB again, right? So this is the very interesting, very simple and nicer way to convert any particular thing into black and white, okay? Now this was on somebody who has a white skin, okay? Let's see what happens if we use exactly same on image which has Indian, basically on Indian skin. Okay, let's quickly see it. So I have this image, it's retouched and everything, and it's person has a brown skin. Okay, now see what exactly happens on a brown skin. Okay, this was white skin. Now I'm going to repeat exact same steps. Okay, I'm going for lap colors, going for lightness, okay, and I'm going for grayscale, yes, okay, and I'm going for RGB. All right. So I got image which got converted, but my original image has much more contrast or nicer feel to it compared to this particular uh, black and white conversion, I would say. So what I would like to do is I would like to go back few steps into the color image and see converting this particular image in different ways. So the different way is I'll just go to this black and white filters and see. This is by default looks good, but let's see if we can make it look better. Okay. Now the another way I will show this blue filter, because on a brown skin you will actually understand what exactly it is doing to the color. So it's actually making uh, person pretty much dark, because there's a lot of red or more amount of red in in the skin. When the skin is brown, we will quickly see the values, RGB values here. Okay, so I'm just here and I'm just sampling it. See, so if you see the percentage, it's pretty much more compared to other two. Okay, so it's making it pretty darker. All right, so we don't want to use this. So what we will do is, let's see these other two. We really like the green one, and we also find yellow one better. Okay, because it was giving us different ways. Now let's see how the red filter also acting on this. Red and yellow is pretty much same because it's converting everything into white, or every red into white. So if I just go the red filter here, see what's happening. And if I go yellow filter here, this too is changing, but red area is completely blown out. So we're losing a lot of details here, and you can actually see that into image. The person's face has become much brighter, okay, but at the same time we can see the quality of the image is gone low. All right, now this is a now we have come to a situation, we tried all the things which we really liked, and then we're not getting the right kind of result. Now, there was one more way I showed you that, gradient map. Let's see how it looks with gradient map. Okay. And again, so when I'm using gradient map, I'm getting pretty much good contrast and also, all the details. So it worked really well. I mean, compared to whatever changes we saw, it's maintaining that gray value. That person has a brown skin and not very fair skin. So if when we see this black and white conversion, we get that effect to it. Also, it's maintaining a very good contrast. If you see this transition happening here in the color one, we see this transition happening here, and black and white one also is this transition happening here. Okay, so gradient map worked really well in this one. So earlier this image we use lab color, now here we use gradient map. So again, different things will work on different images considering the color values and what kind of colors and tones that particular image has. Okay, all right. Now let's go to some other images. I'm gonna turn these off. And I have some more images. I'm gonna quickly open those. Okay, so I have this image. It's converted into black and white, and as you can see, there are a lot of layers here. Okay, it's just the for black and white conversion. Okay, this is the original image. It's shot by Mansi, and really amazing image. So uh, I asked her to give me some images because uh, I believe that when it comes to black and white conversion, it doesn't make a point only showing on human faces, and most of the pictures which I shoot, they have human faces. So, I took some images from Mansi for this particular webinar, and this one is really good image. Thank you, Mansi. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start building my layers, okay? Or rather, in fact, I will just start from scratch and show it to you. I'm just copying this image on new layer. Okay, so yeah, here are my images. Now, see, understand this. Now, we have this whites here, okay? And so wherever there are white, we need lighter gray, okay? And then we have this golden color design which is made, and we need to maintain that. At the same time, we need to maintain a very good contrast between this white and golden, okay, so the image will stand out. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to black and white and see what's happening. Okay, now this became darker gray, this became lighter gray, but there is a difference in everything. But what has happened, the thing is that we completely lost the charm of the image because we lost the contrast of the image. Okay, let's see what will happen if we go to blue filter. Okay, so See, the blue filter is making this entire thing because it has a lot of red value. It's completely uh, black. Okay, and we are losing all the details. This is what I mean by losing all the details. We're getting patches here. Okay, and it's not going to work out. Let's see a red filter. Again, red filter, it's making it look silver, or you can see that, okay, it has this metallic feel, but at the same time it's spoiling the image because the contrast is completely gone. Okay, let's see what happens with green filter. Okay, green filter not able to help us here because there's no contrast, and again same for yellow filter, not helping. Okay, now let's see our other options which we have here. One is gradient map. Okay, again it's kind of dull, the image is kind of dull. Okay, so now we need some solution. Okay, so this is another way of converting to black and white, and very interesting one. Maybe we can use two methods together. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert into black and white. Okay, I'm going to give a blue filter here. Okay, but I'm not going to use it to convert into black and white, but I'm going to use this blue filter to create some contrast. Okay, how? This is how. So I have this, I'm going to reduce the opacity of this. Okay, so I have this good contrast going on here. As you can see, this is much darker than the rest. Okay, maybe I can build it something more. Yeah, and now I will go and convert into gradient map. Okay, so yeah, I have this interesting contrast, better than anything else which we saw earlier. Okay, so uh, good to start with basically, but I'm not saying that this is the final image, because if you see this, it still has a very nice feel to it. Okay, it and this one is started making it feel a low, or a little dull. Okay, we achieved contrast, but we are still not there. Now the next part is this white is not, it doesn't have that feel to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to selective colors. Okay, I'm going to select whites. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce black from those white and see what's up. Okay, if it is working out, but again, it's working out, but not up to my expectation. It worked really interesting way here, but this area it didn't work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is see, this is the change. You can see that half of the image, particular this pillar part, they are looking very interesting in this one because we developed a very amazing contrast there. Okay, so I'm going to keep it like this, but again I need to do something for this area here and this reflection part here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my curves. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase these curves a lot. Okay, don't worry, we're going to take care of all of this. Okay, so I'm going to completely blow it up, and I'm going to convert that mask into black mask so the effect is not seen anywhere. And I'm going to take brush with very less opacity. You can see it's only 20%. Okay, and just quickly paint only this area. Okay, this area which had gone a little darker, and this area. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I think these golden thing which was there, the decoration, it is too black. So I'm just going to reduce little bit of contrast from there. Maybe I'll keep it something like 40%. So yeah, it's not that dark. Okay, or one more thing I can do is I can quickly slightly put few brushes on that from this curves. Okay, so yeah, I mean quickly we have converted, we use few different methods and tool layers to convert. It wasn't just one click job, but we created interesting black and white which has a pretty decent contrast. Okay, so I'll just quickly make a group and then see it. Okay, so and later on if you want to increase, put this uh, flare on this or something like that, you can definitely do it. At the same time, when you're doing this, there are particular things which you, if you feel, you can always balance it out, increase or reduce. Okay, now I still think that this is a little darker, so I'm just trying to make this lighter. Okay, and this, okay, fine, works pretty decent. All right, so this is one. Okay, and I have not shown you how it will look if we will do it with lab colors. Let's quickly see what happens with lab colors. Okay, I'm just going and changing it to lab colors, going to channel, making lightness, and again the contrast which I'm getting, it's really not good, but let's see if we can improve that. Okay, so I got a very interesting conversion. Why I'm saying interesting, because uh, you know, this was metallic. I am getting that metallic feel to it, and also this is white. The whatever white is, it's really fresh and everything. I'm getting a really nice feel of the sun also from here, but overall contrast is missing. Let's see if we can do something about it. So I'm going to go to levels and see that, okay, this I can bring it slightly up. Okay, when I do that, I'm developing this very interesting contrast here. Okay, but again, I'm making this part a little dull. It's fine, we can maybe increase that. Okay, but again, when I'm doing that, I'm losing some details here, so I'll not push it so much. Okay, and I will quickly use my brush and take this darker areas out. Okay, so this is another way of doing it, but little less dramatic and more realistic. Okay, uh, so it really depends how you want to show your image. Also, this is much more realistic, in my opinion, uh, than the previous conversion, but definitely, sorry, more realistic, less dramatic, I mean to say. All right, now I'll just quickly close this and open a new image. Yeah, all right. So another very interesting image shot by Mansi. Okay, and I have this image which is like a, it's really good image. It looks really nice in colors, but it also can, look very interesting in black and white. Okay, so I'll just quickly show what all I've done, and then I will also explain. There's nothing much, but I wanted to show the steps. Okay, so again, first I convert into gradient map, and then I did something which I will explain you, and pretty much just gradient map. Okay, and some levels. Okay, so let's start fresh. What we will do is just quickly copy this. Okay, so I have this image which looks interesting. Now let's see the things which we need to work on. Okay, so I have this line going on here. Okay, just a minute. I have this block which is here, and I need to maintain that contrast. Water has very interesting reflection and contrast. It is looking uh, much more contrasty in color because it's yellow and blue together. Okay, and also light and dark together. So there is so these are the two different things which are going on in the water. Okay, so we need to take care of that. Now the outer part of this, it's maybe because it's very dark, and that's why it has this thing which is um, it's slightly bluish. It's not just dark, it's slightly bluish. So we have that. It's kind of like an advantage actually. And the interior is lighter already, and then there are these other buildings there which are also lighter than the exterior of this, but darker than interior of this. Okay, so a very interesting image. And let's start with converting into black and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to black and white filter and just see what happens. Okay, I showed you with RGB values. I will show you with actual RGB values what happens. So see what happened with blue filter. Okay, with darker green filter. Okay, blue filter very interesting, but we are losing a lot of things. Okay, very interesting again, very graphical, but we're losing a lot of things. A lot of things as in a lot of details from the image. Pardon my language. Okay, so yeah, so this is these are, it's converting into black and white, but not at very satisfactory level. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this clean gradient map. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the result actually. If you see, I'm getting a very nice conversion here, dark gray. Then here I'm getting a pretty decent very light gray, and this is more like a medium gray, all these gradients going on and everything. Okay, but there's no punch to the image, there's no drama happening in the image. And let's see if we can add that drama. Okay, so I'm going to show you something, another interesting way to add drama. Earlier what we did, we used these curves to add particular thing. So now I'm going to show you one more thing which you can do is, so first I converted into black and white with gradient map. I've made a new empty layer, and that I'm going to change the blending mode of, and my blending mode I'm changing it to overlay. Okay, I'm going to take a normal brush, okay, with black and white colors here, okay, and very less opacity, 20%. Okay, so this is basically, what I'm doing is I'm going to do something very similar to burning and dodging, but anyways, we are into black and white already. We have converted into black and white. So instead of burn dodge tool, we can just use brush and paint with white or black on our overlay there. So what I'm going to do is I've selected white here, okay, and I'm going to make this lighter areas in water slightly more lighter. Okay, all right, and this darker areas, I'm going to make it a little more darker. Okay, I'm being very gentle with the brush. I'm not creating something which will look like created separately, or which has which will make it look very artificial. So I'm not going to do that because that won't be very useful for me. All right, and let's just quickly see what happens. So yeah, so there is much interesting contrast we created in the water because of this, right? Now, what I feel is this interior, it's too white. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to selective colors. Okay. And I'm going to select white here and reduce black. Sorry, I'm going to increase black. I want to make it darker. Okay. The moment I do that, I can see that, see, I'll just turn this off and see more details coming in here. Okay. So I'm going to convert this into black mask, and I'm going to paint only this area with white brush. Okay, I'm being very gentle. I'm just painting only that area and nothing else. Okay. But as I'm doing it, I've started noticing one drawback of it. Okay. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this area was a little highly lit because there was these artificial or ceiling lamps here. You can see these lamps uh, are somewhere here. And because now I made it darker, what has happened, I started seeing some patches here. Okay. Maybe in color, yeah. See, if you see the colored image, you can see these patches here. Okay. But in black and white, we didn't see that because of this little more contrast. And the moment I'm turning it, I've started seeing that again. So going forward, I mean, it look like a mistake, or it will not look very good. So what I'm going to do is I don't want it to be so white, but I want some more details there, but I don't want it this dark also. I'm going to keep it something maybe like 50%. Okay. All right. Looks good so far. Now, what I'm going to use, I'm going to use curves. Okay. And I'm going to make it a little darker. And I'll give a black mask there. And again, I'll take a brush with very less opacity. As you can see, just 20%. I'm going to make these areas a little darker. I'm trying to do it such a way so that it will not look very patchy. Okay, it should not look very patchy. All right, so I have this area slightly darker, so I have this very interesting contrast going on there. All right, now what I will do is I'll just check if the overall contrast is good. It looks absolutely fine. Okay, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We don't need to do anything more. There's one last thing which I will do is, because in black and white, if you do this, it will add some more punch to your image. I've merged everything together. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go filter, other, and high pass. Okay, and I'm going to add a very huge radius, 100 radius high pass here. Okay, the image will start looking like this, absolutely non-realistic. And then I'm going to convert that into overlay. Again, still, it's gonna look extremely high contrast and non-realistic. And I'm going to reduce the opacity of this, maybe keep it 15. Okay, not a lot, but 15. It will add some really nice molding. If you can see, I'll just zoom in and just observe this different areas. Okay, as I turn on and off. Okay, so it has a nice molding. It has a better contrast, and overall image, it looks really interesting. So let's just quickly compare that when we spend a little more efforts, how the black and white looks like. So the normal black and white or just a desaturated image will look something like this, and we created something like this, so little more efforts, little more time, because we all love black and white, and if we do that, it's gonna definitely create very interesting result. Okay, so from here we have all the details. See, this is, if you see the actual colors, this was almost you know close to black, and this was yellow, and this was blue, and we actually have different shades of gray here. This is slightly lighter, this is more darker, and this is lighter gray. So we converted it with maintaining maximum gray values. At the same time, we have this very interesting contrast going on, right? Okay. So I'm gonna close this image now. Yeah, so I have this one more image here. Okay, very interesting one. And let's quickly see this. So this is the original image, okay, which I again got from Mansi, very nice skyscape and cityscape, sorry. And let's start converting into black and white. So I'm just gonna copy this on a new layer. Okay, again, I'm going to start with gradient map for this one also, because there are no particular colors here, which so that I will go to black and white and use particular filter. I'll just quickly show you what's it gonna do. Blue filter is completely gonna spoil the contrast. Red is going to give contrast, but then this particular area is not gonna look very interesting. It's looking a little more, washed out. Red, green, little dull, yellow, again pretty similar to red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to again use gradient map here, convert into black and white. Okay, now first is I've made 3 different zones in this particular image. Okay, this is one. You see this, quickly paint it and show these 3 different zones. And I'm going to work on these 3 differently. So this is more like one area. Okay, and then from here, this is like another one, and this is the third one, the remaining part. Okay, so I'm going to give uh, 3 different settings to these 3 different areas basically. Okay, all right, so first let's work for this area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it darker. Okay, so it has a nice punch and nice drama going on in the picture. So what I've done is I've reduced uh, brightness from this entire picture, and I'm going to give a black mask to this curve. Okay, I'm just going to paint this much area. I'm not going to paint a lot, and uh, actually I'm using very high opacity. I'm going to use very less, just 20%. Okay, all right. Now again I'm going in curves. Now I'm going to increase brightness and also reduce the so basically I'm going to increase the contrast in for this particular area. Okay, so this is the very famous S curve which I'm doing it to increase the contrast. Okay, and again black mask, and I'm going to paint this particular area. Okay, and for the remaining area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it brighter, okay, with little bit of contrast. And just paint part of it. Why I did that? Because the light is coming from this side. Okay, so I want, this is further away from the light, so I want to make this area a little darker. Light is coming from this side, as you can see. So I want some light to show that, okay, light is coming, and then this is the major area. So I want it to be bright, but at the same time, I wanted it to have some good contrast also. Okay, so these are the three different layers. So this is how our initial gradient map was. Okay, this is the image, and then we converted into black and white, and then we added these three different um, curve adjustment layers, and we got this. Now this one we can do it with, just by burning the image, but this particular one we need this curve adjustment because we have to improve the contrast in this area, and this area also we need to increase brightness. Yeah, you can do it with dodge, but then little bit contrast also we added there, as you can see this in this curve. Okay, so it's very important that read your image and understand how it is going to look in black and white, and then decide what all improvements you have to do, and you will be able to create a very interesting black and white. So let's just see how this one and this one look. So this is normal black and white with gradient map. Looked interesting, but this has more drama to it, and then when you will print it, it will have that very solid impact because of the contrast which it has and because of the range which it has. Okay, all right. So far I have shown you a few images, and uh, let's move to next one. So there are these three different. So basically, I'm using this gradient map, and then uh, altering some brightness and contrast in all the images. Yeah. Okay. So I have this image, very interesting one. It's a fisheye image. I'll quickly zoom in and show it to you. Okay, and this is the color version of the image. Okay, as you can see, and then there are two different ways actually I've converted into black and white. This is one output, okay, and yeah, another one is this. Okay, so yeah, so same way, same image of course can be definitely converted into two different ways and can used. It really depends how you're using, maybe where you're using, and where you're printing, what exactly you want to highlight in that particular image, whether it's the any particular thing or it's the overall image or the overall feel. Okay, so I'll just quickly show it to you, the steps, and then again I will give a demonstration of each of these uh, methods. Okay, so what I've done is I have in method one, what I've done is I've just 1 minute. Yeah. So this was the image. Okay, what I did, I first made this entire thing brighter. Okay, because I can see that the sky has much more light, and then this one is going dark. So I made it slightly lighter. Okay, and then I use black and white, but at a high contrast blue filter, but at very less opacity. Okay, after that I used again another black and white filter. This here I used a blue one, here I used red one, but only for the sky, and then at full opacity. Okay, so by sky first I converted into black and white, and then I used gradient map to convert entire image and maintain particular contrast into the image. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Okay, this was the result. Now let's see the other way of doing it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. Okay, and yeah, so what I did is I did some burning and dodging. Okay, I saw certain areas where there are some light falling or through the sky or through the trees basically, and then I highlighted those areas. Okay, then again I use curves. Instead of brightening up this entire green thing, what I did here was I darkened the sky. Okay, and this is overall improvement of the contrast. Okay, and then I convert it into black and white. So let's see both these ways, and let's see what uh, you like. Maybe I'll start with copying this image. All right. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase some brightness in this green. Okay. Now, when I increase that, you can see that, okay, this is completely washing out. Okay. So I'm just using mask to brighten these areas. Okay. I'm not going to do anything in the sky right now. Okay. And this one, I'm going to black and white. Okay. Let's see what happens if I go for complete blue filter, and let's see what happens if I go for complete red filter. Okay, so red is making our sky darker, but this entire thing is kind of losing this contrast. But blue, if I use it, it is developing very interesting contrast. Okay, we are losing a lot of details, but in terms of contrast, if you see, we are getting really amazing contrast. Like this was not being even noticed. This is standing out. I really like the way these trees are standing out and everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick to this, but I'm going to reduce opacity of this one. Okay, something like 60% maybe, right? Now, I like the way when I was giving black and white filter and changing it to red, I like the way it made sky look, because sky has blue and then I'm using red filter and it's making it even darker. There are more details there. Okay, so I'm just going to use this only for the sky. Okay, so my sky is got converted into black and white. Okay, and then for conversion of, now I have a good contrast and everything I've maintained, I will go and turn into a black and white gradient map. So now I have a very interesting contrast happening here and everywhere. I'll just quickly reduce this opacity maybe and try to maintain some good balance. Okay, so this is one first way. Now what I will do is I will just work on this little more. Okay, uh, I will slightly make this darker. Okay, and I'm just trying to create a little more drama in the picture. Okay, so I'm just making my sky darker and also some of the areas here. Yeah. I'm going to make this empty layer, change it to overlay. Okay, I'm going to take a brush, white brush, and paint certain areas with white, with very less opacity where the light is coming through the trees to even improve the drama. Okay, So yeah, so we have this complete black and white conversion. I know that we used a lot of layers to do this again, but yeah, so let's just quickly desaturate this image and see how it comes. So this is your normal desaturation result, and this is the result which we get after the conversion which I showed. Okay, so definitely the image, it stands out more. And on top of that, you can always add a little bit of high pass and stand out a little more. Something like this. Yeah. Very nominal change, but definitely will improve the quality. Especially, I mean, when if you will print this result, you will get to see that difference. Okay, so this is the black and white conversion for this one. All right, so I think I covered almost all different ways we can convert it into black and white. Yeah, there's one last uh, is left, which is a little tricky black and white conversion. Okay, which you can use maybe even in your photography also, and create something very interesting thing. So this is the last one which we will go through. Okay, so now this is a color image. As you can see, I have it here. Okay, I would like to tell you a particular thing about this image. Okay, so while shooting, as you can see that I have this eyebrows and eyelashes which are colored in white. Just zoom in. So this is like colored in white. So there is a particular reason I asked makeup artist to do that. Okay, and I'll quickly show you why I asked. Okay, so I'm going to open this image. I'm going to go to black and white. Okay, and I'm going to go to red filter. Okay, the moment I apply this red filter, see what is happening. This entire skin is uh, completely blown out. Okay, and at the same time, I'm getting only this part is basically in lighter gray. Everything darker gray. Everything else is in lighter gray. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this black and white from here. Okay, so what I'm doing basically here is I'm using this the basic idea that is any skin it has red, and if I just use that red filter, it's gonna be completely white. Okay, so I shot this image on white, and I shot the skin, and whatever was dark areas I made it into lighter gray, or just white. So the final output which I'm getting is something like this. I'll just quickly show you. Okay, so this is like very quick conversion. There are slight changes can be done, but this is a quick conversion. It's like pretty interesting white on white result. And when you actually, if you shoot in your camera with red filter on, you will exactly get to see this result. Okay, so it's very interesting. And then maybe what I can do is I can just quickly change this hair. into lighter gray. And lighten these eyebrows. So I have a very, clean white on white high key image happening. Okay, there is a little bit molding also there, but yeah, overall, this is the idea. So I used this basic idea of which I showed you earlier, that if in black and white filter, if I use red filter, red is completely overexposed. So I used that particular idea while shooting, and then converted that into black and white to create something interesting. So something like that, maybe you can also try. You can also try something with blue filter also, okay, or any other filters now, since I've explained how it all works. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, so do we have any questions?
I think for the attendees, so far there are no questions. So I think it's open to all. So if they do have any questions related to the black and white conversion or black and whites in Photoshop, I think it's a good time to ask. However, until they ask, Sachin, I completely have to agree with you with the fact that the black and white photography, that too, especially in the digital era, is something which is of such a good art skill that one needs to kind of balance
Right, right.
with with all the practices that we have seen from some of the masters of black and white, doing it in the dark
Exactly,
room.
exactly. So earlier there was a lot of the burning and dodging and everything used to happen in dark rooms when there were films where it used to be shot. Uh, I'm sure all of
Yeah.
you have seen some Ansel Adam black and whites and everything, but now we have kind of limitations at the time of shooting because we shoot digital, but at the same time, uh, Photoshop is something which is there to enhance the images to different level, or at very vast level. So I would say that we can actually create a result which is on a which is much better than what we shoot from the camera basically.
Well, yeah, there's a very small comment which is kind of interesting, which we also initially would have definitely experienced, right? So it says, the person says it seems difficult, but gonna try it. Yeah, I definitely have to agree that whatever we see might be difficult, but the moment we try to get hold of it and with that practice, yes, Photoshop doesn't seem that yeah, difficult anymore. What do you have to say?
So Photoshop is something which when I started using it, it goes long back, maybe around 8 or 10 years back, and it was something which is I absolutely was not able to understand what exactly it is, and then every time I was doing something was happening, and I'm not able to control it. Okay, and I actually had an opinion that I was running away from Photoshop in initial days of photography, because I realized that uh, it is something which is I'm not able to do it, and I'm actually by doing I'm spoiling the images which I'm shot or something. And then I came across my Photoshop teacher, and then everything started changing. So I learned from Mr. Vishal Binde, and then most of you must have known that he is one of the best Photoshop teacher or artist we have in India. So basically, what happened that I started learning it step by step, and when you do that, you start understanding the strength this software has, and then uh, by understanding the strength of this software, you also start understanding that how strength your digital file also has. The photographs which we take, the raw pictures which we take, that particular file is very, it has a lot of strength. You are able to uh, convert or turn or alter that file in various ways, and the way you want it will get altered. It's just that you need to know right ways to do it. So yeah, eventually it was very difficult for me to even understand and follow Photoshop, but step by step study made it much easier basically.
Yeah, I completely have to agree with you, Sachin. I think one more fact that the entire session that you conducted is also available on YouTube. So all the attendees
Okay.
out there, this is just a gentle reminder, right? So you guys can log into our YouTube page. It's CMEDU School of Pro Expressionism. So all the webinars that we have conducted so far, you can find it in archive there. So you can probably use that time and you can look through the video and practice the same step by step so that you can get a better hold of it, right? Yeah, I think Sachin, that's pretty much that we have in regards to the
Okay,
question.
and I would like to add one particular thing that a lot of time while let's say I'm explaining particular thing in Photoshop, and a lot of you might have feel okay, I have understood something, or okay, but at the time when you're actually doing it in Photoshop by yourself, you'll get confused or you'll forget something. And so it's really good that all these sessions which are available on YouTube. So you can definitely go back there and see what exactly you're missing out on, or a particular step which you missed out on, or like that. Maybe this is one small suggestion to all of you, to all the students who are here. What you can do is, if you're not able to make notes of each and everything, or rather it's actually not required to make notes of everything because we have these videos on YouTube. What you can do is you can just make maybe put a timeline or something, and then uh, put it on a record that okay, and this particular timeline there is this particular thing which was explained. So when you're watching these videos again, you know where exactly at what particular timeline that thing was explained, and it will be easier to refer. So something like that maybe you can definitely do.
Yeah, completely agree with that, Sachin. Yeah, if we just have to remember the way we practice, it's not a one day thing. It
Yeah, it's
definitely.
definitely not a one day thing. Like I still make few mistakes, and it's been almost 10 years now I'm using Photoshop. But yeah, I mean, every time, let's say if I'm using it for 4 or 5 hours, in those 4 or 5 hours, 5 or 10 mistakes I still do. I still have to go back, and we are humans, we tend to make mistakes, I feel. So it's
Agree.
absolutely fine.
Agree. So, anyways, definitely, this was one of the best sessions we have had so far. So, thank you so much, Sachin, and to
Sure.
all the attendees out there. Thank you for being patient. I hope you guys should have gained something out of this session. And Sachin, thank you so much. Over to you. You can go ahead and probably close this session
Thank
for
you.
today.
Thank you. Uh, all right. Thank you so much, all. And I hope that you learned something, and stay safe. Right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Bye.